That right there is about a 40-inch upgrade to the old man cave wall, my 2023 Ohio buck. And coming off of my best season to date, I wanted to be super intentional about how I designed my 2024 season to maximize my results as well as my growth as a deer hunter. In this video, I wanted to talk through what my goals are for the year, what states I'm going to be targeting, as well as what my year-round approach is going to be to make sure I actually achieve those goals. I'll revisit this video at the end of the year just to see how I did, but really quickly, if you could do me a huge favor and like this video, it helps me out tremendously with the YouTube algorithm. As far as the states that I plan to hunt, aside from my decision to specifically not hunt my birth state of Michigan, there's little significance to the actual states themselves. So don't just start hunting these states because I'm planning to hunt them. The states that I'm choosing to hunt are generally just due to proximity to where I currently live, where I have friends that hunt, or states that I just want to try out. Essentially every state in the Midwest has incredible opportunities, even on public land if you're willing to put in the work. The rundown of the states for the year are North Dakota, Ohio, Kansas, Pennsylvania, and Missouri, and I'll give you a little context behind the reasoning for each one of these states. So the first state, North Dakota, I'm going to hunt for a couple different reasons. The first reason being that their season opens a few weeks before my home state of Ohio, which allows me to extend my deer season by a few weeks. But there's several states much closer to Ohio that open up in early September. So the second reason I'm going to North Dakota is to share camp with my good buddy, Alex Comstock, and the boys over at Whitetail DNA. I'm generally a solo hunter, so it's rare that I get to have that deer camp experience. So it's something I really look forward to, and I'm excited to go back this year. The second state, Ohio, is my home state, and I've been here for about 2.5 years, and I predominantly hunted private land. And although it's netted my 2 largest bucks, these guys right here, I plan to do a lot more exploring on public land this year just to be able to cast a much wider net. More on that later. State number 3 on the list is Kansas. And every year I try to do at least one out-of-state rut hunt. And I went to Kansas a few years ago and had a really bad experience, and I've had a sour taste in my mouth ever since. So this trip is all about redemption and proving to myself that I have what it takes to close the deal. State number 4 is Pennsylvania, and aside from my local endeavors here in Ohio, I wanted to start exploring one of the neighboring states in the event that I do tag out early in Ohio. With a young son at home, I want the option to continue hunting without having to take a half day just to drive somewhere. Last but not least is Missouri, and similar to North Dakota, I'm only hunting Missouri because I have a group of friends that's already hunting there. This will probably be a late season hunt, and only if all my other tags are filled. It's a lot of fun to share camp with a group of friends that are passionate about hunting on public land. And this group of friends is always good for a lot of laughs and a few arrows launched. Now, in a perfect world, I would punch all of these tags on mature bucks. However, I do have a basement level of success that I would be satisfied with. In 2023, I killed 3 bucks, the most I've ever killed in one single season. And understandably so, it was also the most I've ever hunted in a single season. But I wasn't exactly efficient. It took me 13 days in North Dakota, 10 full days in Iowa, and more days than I can count here in Ohio. And I also hunted in Michigan and Missouri where I failed to punch a buck tag. I think minimally I can get a lot more dialed, work a lot harder in the off season, and punch 4 buck tags in 2024. Here in Ohio, and likely in Kansas as well, I'll be seeking a 4.5-year-old or older age class buck. But in Pennsylvania, North Dakota, and in Missouri, I'll likely be happy with any representative buck of the area that's at least 3.5 years old. Really quickly, I want to pause, drop your goals for the year down below in the comments. I'm curious to see what you guys come up with. Now, you could argue that killing the top 3% age class or antler sized buck in an area is much more of an accomplishment, and I should focus on killing a smaller amount of deer, but really trying to kill that top tier buck. However, at this point in my hunting career, I really enjoy sending arrows through rib cages. And frankly, most bucks 3.5 or older are enough to trip my trigger on an out-of-state public land hunt. And I'm sure at some point in the future, I'll focus more exclusively on killing only the top tier bucks. But for now, I'm gonna just try to get as many reps as possible on good deer. Now for the meat and potatoes. All of that sounds great, but how the heck do I actually plan to accomplish such a lofty goal? Right out of the gate, I can say that North Dakota, Missouri, and Kansas will be states that I just hunt on the fly. From my experience, early season and late season hunts are super dependent on whatever the hot food source is at that exact moment in time, and it changes so frequently. So I'll be showing up, scouting my butt off for the first couple days, and then working to locate a good buck to hunt. Kansas, on the other hand, is super dependent on drought conditions, if there's cattle rotated through properties, and hunting pressure. In all 3 cases, they're all really far from home, and And there's a chance I'll make a scouting or shed hunting trip to one of these states, but for the most part, my off-season efforts are going to be exclusively focused around cyber scouting on onX to identify target areas to check out once I arrive in the fall. In the local states, Ohio and Pennsylvania, there's going to be an ongoing mission to scout and learn as much as possible to prepare for an entire season's worth of activity. I won't exclusively be focusing just on the early season or just the rut, so I need to be prepared for whenever my opportunity comes. In these states, I'll also be working to target specific deer. I mentioned hunting private land here in Ohio, and I'll be working to fine-tune my existing setups and put in some food plots this year. But I'm also going to be putting a 30 or 50% focus into public land this year, and there's pros and cons to each, but what I want to avoid are periods of time throughout the season that the caliber buck that I'm trying to target does not exist on the limited private lands I have to hunt. And in those cases, I want to be able to pivot to the public land, already beyond bucks, have certain target bucks identified that I can go after and have it somewhat figured out. Circling back to my goals, punching a certain amount of tags on a certain caliber of buck is certainly a good measuring stick. The other goal that I have for myself is to force myself to continually develop as a deer hunter. By having states that I can focus on year round, run cameras, and visit frequently, I think my woodsmanship skills are really going to be fine-tuned, trying to figure out how these deer use a specific area over the entire course of a year. On the flip side, having states on the schedule where I don't have an entire year's worth of intel heading into the hunt, it forces me to trust my instincts and draw from my previous experiences. Hunting a variety of states, terrains, and times of the season also constantly forces you out of your comfort zone and dramatically increases the number of experiences that you can put in your bank to draw from in the future. This is just a high-level overview of how I plan to attack the year. I plan to go much more in-depth into each individual state as the off-season goes on. So if that's something of interest to you, let me know down below in the comments. I also have some broad goals based around archery to make sure I'm in peak form heading into the fall. I think that's an area I've really been lacking in the past, so it's going to be a huge emphasis moving forward. I'd love to connect with you guys on social media, so make sure you're following me at Next Step Outdoors on whatever platform you're on. I've also dropped my email down below in the description. I love seeing your harvest pictures and talking hunting, so feel free to write me there as well. It's going to be a really exciting year, and I'm excited to take you along for the ride. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.